Well, good morning to you guys. We were just listening to Battles by the Afters. Welcome to Rhema Central Coast if you happen to be just tuning in, or if you've been listening to us for a while, welcome to a new start, a new program. You're joining us for Sunday morning. So I'm Lindy. I happen to do Sunday mornings here each week, and it is a delight to spend my Sunday mornings with you. I hope you're having a beautiful one at that. And we've got some exciting news. Can I just start by saying that we have got some seriously exciting news. So let's see, what is it? Let me tell you. Well, we are one of 3 entrants in the Greater Banks Community Funding Program for February. That was interesting. If we get more votes than the other 2 organisations, then we win $2,000, and that really would be quite helpful. You can vote once per day, every day, right through until 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the 26th of February. So why not set a daily reminder on your phone so that you don't forget to vote every day? Vote for us today and every day by clicking on the banner on our website or at the top of our phone app. And please tell your friends. Tell them about this so that they can vote for us too. It would be a huge help. And we're halfway through, guys, so we're only halfway into the month. So get voting. It would be great to have your support in that. $2,000 could go a very long way. Now, what are we doing today? We are talking about what would Jesus do again. I'm finding it a little bit hard because there is just so many different miracles and different things that God exposed Jesus to, that he allowed Jesus to walk through, the things that he... you look at Jesus' life and you look at Scripture and you think there is so much in it. At what point do I need to think about something else to talk about? And it's really reassuring to me when I look at Scripture and look at what Jesus did, how he responded to different social settings, different social issues, and how they can be applied today. Because really, I think, this is my belief, but we think we're pretty clever. We think every generation is going to be the next generation to do things differently, to, shake things up and do it better. When really we look and we go, okay, still got the same social issues that we face year in and year out. I don't know if we're ever going to get it. There is things that we, just being human, we just, from one generation to another, we still are exposed to or put through. And when we look at the life of Jesus, we can see just how he handles it, how he handles those issues that do pass from one generation to another. And this week was Valentine's Day, so I do hope you guys got spoiled. If you happen to be someone who is, married or in a relationship, I hope you got spoiled. For those of you who aren't, I hope you enjoyed your singleness and just the freedom to choose what you want to do with the day or that sort of thing. I think it's a bit of a win-win for everyone. It doesn't matter where you are in your life, there are things that you can be thankful for. And anyway, with it being Valentine's Day, I did think, hey, this is a good opportunity to look at Jesus' response to those lovey-dovey situations. And obviously he was a single man. He was a single man for his whole life. He was only here for 33 years, and it was only in the last 3 years of his life that he really started to show people, hey, there's something different about me. And we today are going to be talking about the very first moment that he really allowed his true identity, I guess you could say, to be exposed. For him to stand out and go, this is who I was designed to be, and look what I can do. We're going to go to the very first miracle that's recorded in the Bible. And that happens to be in a very lovey-dovey sort of situation scenario, and it was at a wedding. So let's kind of hold there for a moment. We'll come back before too long and we'll explore some more. We'll dig deeper. I'll explain to you what this big revelation or this big moment in time was, what he did, and what we can learn from it. We'll be back before too long. See you soon, guys. And welcome back. That was Jesus Happened by Baylor Wilson. Jesus did in fact happen. That is very correct. And I'm so thankful Jesus did happen because we have got so much to learn. And on Sunday mornings here at Rhema CC, that is exactly what we are doing. We are spending some time thinking about what would Jesus do. And we can sort of look at our own current situation. We can look at the scenarios that are around us, the situations that we find ourselves in. And often you'll find that Jesus kind of came close to many, many of the situations or scenarios that we still today find ourselves I guess we get exposed to. Now we are starting today, I mentioned before that we are talking, because it was Valentine's Day on Friday, we are talking kind of lovey-dovey stuff. We are talking actually about Jesus' first miracle that happened to be at a wedding. I'm going to read this to you, and it is coming straight from Scripture. So it's from John 2, 1 to 11, and then we can talk a bit more. We can get a bit deeper into it. So Jesus changes water into wine. On the third day, a wedding took place in Cana. I think it is Cana, I'm assuming it's Cana, in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." "Woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied. "My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water," so they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now." What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. It was a pretty phenomenal moment. If we look at that, and we look at I'm looking at this right now, and the interactions in those who are in this story, it's interesting to look at the dynamics between Jesus and his mum. We look at when the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." And he responds, "Woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied, "My hour has not yet come." There's something special about a mother and a son. And I think this is sort of awakening to me. It's kind of that reminder who Jesus was. He was flesh, and he had that relationship that we can often have with our parents. I look at this and I think this is the kind of thing that my son would look at me and go, what do you want me to do about it? Like, back off. Not that Jesus was necessarily saying back off, but he was kind of saying, I'm not ready for this. And yet he moved forward to what he was called to do. Obviously then his mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. So she's passing the responsibility on to Jesus. There is a lot of symbolism, a lot of stuff in this that as I've been sort of getting ready for this morning, this week, I've been reading into it. I hadn't really thought about the detail of the actual story, until I thought, what am I going to explore here this morning? But yeah, even the significance of what he chooses to put to transform the water to wine, I should say. There's a lot in it. We're going to explore more and more about that as we go this morning. But I think it's really special to acknowledge that though Jesus initially says to his mum, look, what are you, he kind of asks her, why do you want me to be involved with this? I don't need to be responsible for this right now. It's not my time. He still goes ahead. He understands the situation. He understands that it could be a very embarrassing scenario for this family. It could be a very shameful thing for them to not be able to produce the wine and to overly celebrate, I guess, is kind of where we're going. But to overly celebrate in such a big way. Obviously, a wedding is a time of celebration. And in this particular thing, but not being able to provide that, or the family feeling like they can't provide at that time, it would have been there would have been a shame to it, a big shame. Now, why do I say that there are issues or elements of how we can understand what happened in this scene to what happened or what happens to us in our day-to-day life? Have you ever thought things like, I'm not enough, or I don't have enough, or I can't give enough? Now that's what we're seeing here with this family. We're seeing here this setting or this scenario where they're suddenly confronted with this could be very embarrassing. It's about to get really, really embarrassing. And I know for myself, when I was a young mum, when I first had my eldest daughter, I can still remember having to, count the pennies and count, not that we had pennies, but literally count to the cent of how I was going to pay for formula or how I was going to do this. And there is that moment of, oh, this is really uncomfortable. I have to present to the person in front of me and say, I don't know what I can do here. And this is different in a setting, but in terms of provision and being able to provide for a situation or for those who are in our realm, it's something that we can still identify with today. It's that I don't know if I can provide enough. Perhaps you're someone who's struggling to pay bills or pay. You might be struggling to pay for school fees or different things that for other people might be just nothing, but for you it's really tough at the moment, or it has been really tough, or whatever. And I think there's that sense of pride, that's that human pride to just want to push through and pretend it's not real, and to almost, but still not know what to do. And I think if we identify what that feels like, what that situation of I don't have enough for it could get very, very uncomfortable here. Holding on to the emotion that's in that, we can kind of start to see what this family was exposed to and what they were feeling. It would have been really, really like a really shameful thing. And yet we see here, it was with his mum's prompting. So mums, I just want to encourage you that there is something for us to take from this too. See the potential in your kids. Now, this is not specifically a what would Jesus do thing. This is a responsibility of the mothers of the world. See the potential in the kids. Call them out on them, on their plan, the plans for their life, and pull them to it. Even in this situation, Jesus here is being exposed to what his plan, that God's plan for him was. And she saw the situation and she's urging him, going, something's not going to be not good here. And what does Jesus do? He tells the servants to fill the jars with water. And then they watched what happened from there. And obviously we skip to the very end where we have the quote from the bridegroom. It says, then he called the bridegroom aside and said, everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink, but you have saved the best till now. So what is he doing? He's saying, I will provide. I will provide in those moments of uncomfortable or a sense of lacking that you are feeling or experiencing. I will provide. I will pull you through. I will cover you. I will be what you need to get through this moment. And he does it. That's the very first miracle he shows to the world. And we are still here thousands of years later talking about this. And he does the same thing for us. He still does that same thing when we trust him and we just go, can't see any way out of this one, God. This is going to look very humiliating. I'm going to be taken down. Help me, Jesus. I don't know what to do. Anyway, I'm going to hold it there for a bit because that's just the beginning. But even as I'm talking to you guys, I'm getting some real stuff out of this. It's pretty cool to sort of think about who Jesus is and who he was, what we can learn from him and how we can become like him. So we'll explore that some more when we come back before too long. I'll see you guys soon. See ya. And good morning, guys. Welcome to Rhema Central Coast here at we're at Gosford. We're here at Gosford, and we are just broadcasting all across the coast. So it's pretty cool that we are, because we happen to be broadcasting something that's pretty phenomenal, and that is the fact that we've got a God that loves us. How cool is that? Honestly, really, how cool is it that we can just live with purpose and a sense of just that awareness that, hey, we're not doing this on our own. We've got a God who loves us so much that he actually gave us a son called Jesus, and he was the game changer. We've been talking about him today, this morning, guys, and we will continue to do so. But before we do, I've got something to let you guys know about. We actually have some very exciting news. We're one of 3 entrants in the Greater Banks Community Funding Program for February. Now, if we get more votes than the other 2 organisations, then we will win $2,000, and that would be really helpful. You can vote once per day, every day, right through until 5 p.m. on Wednesday the 26th of February. So why not set a daily reminder on your phone so you don't forget to vote every day. Vote for us today and every day by clicking on the banner on our website or at the top of the phone app. And please tell all your friends so they can also vote for us too. All votes help. Nothing like seeing that little green tick of your vote has gone through towards Rhema Central Coast. I know that website all too well, and it's not a bad thing. We're a couple of weeks in, guys, but we can certainly use whatever you can help with that. So please get behind it if you can. All right, we are talking what would Jesus do again, and we are talking lovey-dovey stuff. We're talking about weddings. We're talking about the expectations of weddings. What are the expectations of weddings? Because we often think of the bride and the groom, obviously, being in love and being ready to commit, and not necessarily the case. There are obviously different scenarios where there's, different types of weddings. We have culturally, obviously, for us, we are more westernized, so we understand the wedding to be a celebration of two lives choosing to come together. Doesn't mean that that's how it always is in other parts of the world, but marriage itself is pretty phenomenal. It's a pretty, it's a God-ordained thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful coming together of a male and a female, and just, I think when we highlight scriptural marriage as being designed as a man and a woman coming together as one unit, one little force in the world, it's a beautiful understanding of what we're designed to do and how we're supposed to do it. Does not take away from the singles out there, because my goodness, guys, if you happen to be single, you have got so much to offer. And I'm so thankful that you do, because your communities can benefit from that so much. I think wherever we are, we've got reasons to be thankful. But specifically today, we're looking at weddings. We're looking at the wedding where Jesus suddenly went, all right, okay, all right, I'm up. Game's up. I've got to come to the party and show these guys that I can do some stuff. And we read before. We actually read from Scripture. I spoke to you guys from John 2. I read the whole passage from 1 to 11. And it's basically going into a few different scenarios, in that we talked previously about the relationship between Jesus and his mother. And for me, I took away from this is not necessarily from what would Jesus do thing. It was more his relationship with his mum. That mothers have a big reason to be mothers. And that is often because we can see what our kids can become. And Jesus responded to it. And we look at that when we look at how he then he responded to the problem of there is no more wine, or we're getting very, very low in the wine, and the family being embarrassed, being put to shame, not being able to provide, all of these things that we tend to experience or feel regardless of generation to generation. There will be times when every one of us go through situations where we are exposed to the whole theme of I can't be enough, or I'm not enough, or we are not able to do enough. It's a very universal thing. And I think very few people that have the opposite experience, where they don't have that experience, where they just can cruise on by and, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm everything I need to be. I would say that most of us, this is just a me thing, I'm guessing, have at one time or another been like this family, or we've been in a situation where in some aspect of our life we have felt like I can't be enough. I'm not enough. I don't know what to do with this. Now, I have a lot of things flying through my own head as I'm talking on this, because I am exploring this as I'm talking, quite honestly. I looked at the scripture during the week in terms of not even to really a whole lot of detail. I just kind of went, right, that's what we're going to do next. But as I'm sitting here with you guys this morning, I am exploring this in more detail. Now, if we look at, I'm going to read again from verse 5. And it says, his mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. So she's pointing it back to Jesus, going, just leave it with him. So she knows he's capable. She knows that something big is about to come, and she knows the potential her son has. And he is half biologically hers. So, that's a weird sort of, that's a big one. That's a big concept to kind of, anyway. I'm not going to go there this morning because that's a big, deep one. But yeah, there's something about the awareness that she knows this guy, this beautiful baby who's now grown to a man, the one that I gave birth to, there's some big stuff in store for him. He needs to be, at some point, he needs to be exposed to show the world who he is. And it starts in this very setting. So he puts his own pride aside, even though initially we look at what he had said to her and he's like, my hour has not yet come. Why, woman, would you involve me? Like, come on, why have you dragged me into this? This is not cool. And yet he knows that it is the time. Mum's called it. She's right. I need to jump on this. And this is how he responds. From verse 6, nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, fill the jars with water. So they filled them to the brim. Now these guys are just trusting him. Then he told them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants had drawn the water new. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, everyone brings out the choice wine first and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink, but you have saved the best till now. So he's kind of in this situation. What he has done is taken this moment. He's seen the needs of those in like that are before him, the family that's before him, and he has responded. He didn't want to be exposed. He didn't want anyone to know what he was born to do. He didn't want people to see anything yet, but their needs were placed first. Protecting them came first. And I don't know about you guys, but I take a lot from that. What would Jesus do? He would place the needs of others before himself. He would take those situations that are difficult or embarrassing, and he would replace it with joy, with something better. Now, this doesn't take away from the fact that Jesus is the ultimate provider of joy, of hope, of peace, of kindness. He is the provider. He's all of that. He is, there are no words to describe. But it can challenge us. It can make us think, right, what do we do? How do we love like that? How do we provide, and how do we protect those situations where they're embarrassing? It can be simple things, guys. It can be just being aware of what is happening in our own little realm. There are, even just this last week, I can think of certain situations where, I've had people come to me and say, I really need such and such. This is at our not-for-profit. I need this particular product, and it was for a friend, but it was something they were embarrassed about. Personal hygiene especially is one of those things that we can be quite... we can be very guarded with, but, if someone's struggling and they really don't have the means to be able to get help for that, whether that's, something medical or there's something that's just biologically going on, if we can see that they're uncomfortable, we should be the ones that kind of usher them aside and don't make a big deal, just get them sorted. That's what we see here with Jesus. We see the exact same thing. He's not making a big deal. He's not saying, look at me and look what I can do. He's saying, I will bring this. I'm going to give them every reason to celebrate. I'm bringing the party. This is happening. And that is what we should be doing. If we look at what would Jesus do from that perspective and how we live our life, I'm bringing the party. I'm bringing the reason for you to keep going, for you not to be embarrassed, for you to not be ashamed, to not be comfortable. I'm giving you a reason to keep going. So look in your world today. Who seems to be a little uncomfortable? Who seems to be embarrassed? Who seems to need a little bit of a hand up or a hand out at different times? It might be a financial thing. It might be it might just be a shoulder to cry on behind the scenes. It might be someone just needing to know that they've been seen, that they've been heard. Or it might literally be something like this, where someone's going, I've got to pull this off and I've got no idea how to do it. I've got a wedding coming up, a conference, whatever. I've got no idea how I'm going to pull this together because I don't have the resources, I don't have the financial means, I don't have the whatever it happens to be. If you're someone who can help with that and you notice, you're responding like Jesus. That is what he did. He took that situation. It was uncomfortable for him, but the needs of those, attending and the family involved in that, they were more important to him. Anyway, that's a big one. So I'm going to leave that challenge with you, and we'll come back and discuss more lovey-dovey stuff when we get back. I'll see you guys soon. All right, see you soon. And welcome back to Rhema CC. That was Love Unleashed by Abel Chungu. I hope I pronounced that right. Chungu, I'm not sure. Either way, it was a good song, and Love Unleashed is pretty much where we're going here this morning at Rhema Central Coast. I am here to spend some time with you guys. I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host, and it's a good little intro actually to what we've been talking about. We've been talking about what would Jesus do, and we've been talking about his Jesus himself, how that was the first time that he allowed the world to really kind of see who he is. It happened to be at a wedding, which, weddings tend to be a case of love unleashed. It's a pretty different kind of love unleashed, I guess, than what we've seen in this song. But it's a beautiful scene. And what am I talking about? If you happen to be joined this morning, we've been talking about where Jesus turns water into wine and what that actually meant for the different aspects of his social, I guess you could say the social interactions, but also for the family that were involved in this. It was about him protecting them and their pride and their shame, and being that buffer, I guess, between what was awkward to become something or a total moment of pure joy. And, even though they hadn't realised the significance of what had happened at that point, those who did help in that situation, because Jesus basically he got some of the servants to come aside and to fill up. It describes here scripturally, it just says, Jesus said to the servants, fill the jars with water, so they filled them to the brim. And so these guys here, these servants, they know what's happened because they know they've filled these jars up with water. And suddenly, as the party or the bridal party or the guests at the wedding can see and taste, and it's wine, it's the real deal. These guys that have helped out with the filling of the water are suddenly going, what on earth just happened? That was just insane. And I find it really cool that he chooses the significance of a wedding to be where he exposed. He is exposed, and he exposes himself not literally exposes himself, I don't think. There's nothing recorded that I'm aware of in that way. What I mean is he exposes the true identity of who he is. He is God's son, and he is there to do some serious stuff and some pretty cool stuff, some great miracles. And this is the first miracle we see. Now, when I was preparing this week, I found myself looking at all different sort of dimensions. I can be a very symbolic or very deep sort of person, and I've tried to stay away from that a little bit in this because just because it's different to who I naturally am. But anyway, and I couldn't help it with this one. I really had to just look at all aspects. Now, I found this website, scriptureinsight.org. Now, I want to read to you specifically about this little section of the Bible and what they have come up with or what they suggest happened, or their sort of insight into this particular scene. So I'm literally just going to read word for word what I have in front of me. The narrative commences with the wedding at Cana, where Jesus performs his first public miracle by turning water into wine. This act is not merely a demonstration of miraculous power, but serves as a theological sign pointing to Jesus as the inaugurator of the new covenant. Jesus did this, the first of his signs in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. The transformation of water into wine, particularly within the context of a wedding feast, symbolises the transformative power of Jesus' ministry, offering a foretaste of the kingdom of God, characterized by joy, abundance, and fulfillment. Now, the use of jars set aside for Jewish purification rites highlights that's the significance of this. The transition from the purifactory, that's a big one, laws of the old covenant to the new covenant's internal transformation and renewal. Following this, the cleansing of the temple in Jerusalem presents a dramatic assertion of Jesus' authority over religious practices and his zeal for pure worship. That's going into some other stuff that we're not actually talking about today, but I'll just leave it there. But I found that quite interesting, talking about just the significance, the symbolisms behind it, the symbol, like specifically they've identified here, with the fact, I'll emphasise again, the transformation of water into wine, particularly within the context of a wedding feast, symbolises the transformative power of Jesus' ministry, offering a foretaste of the kingdom of God characterised, I've done it again, by joy, abundance and fulfilment. The use of jars set aside for Jewish purification rites highlights the transition from the purifactory, I think that's right, laws of the old covenant to the new covenant's internal transformation and renewal. So there's something in that. There's a deep symbolism. I can't talk now. I need to go back to bed. Just the symbolism of that. And I don't know that Jesus necessarily did it for all those symbols necessarily when it all happens, but it is amazing how we can take things and go, oh, there's something to this. And I think that's scripture for you, isn't it? It really can be what we can be challenged by individually. There can be things that we can take away that we at first just sort of glanced over, and other times we can read it and go, oh, hang on a sec, there is something to that. I need to think about that. I need to pray about that. I need to whatever. But yeah. So anyway, as I said, there's a lot of symbolism in this. Now, what would Jesus do? And we look, if we are tying most of this together this morning, what would we do? If we're going to love like Jesus, we're going to try and protect those who need our covering, who need us to provide, the resources or the financial support, or it could be literally just some material possession that they can use that will cover them to a point where their situation is not leaving them in a situation of being embarrassed. There's actually something to that too. I've seen, I don't know about you guys, if you have seen, it's like this little meme thing that pops up every so often. It's more of like a girl power thing, but it talks about, I don't know the exact words, I'm just thinking of it now, but it's along the lines of what we should be doing is fixing the crown on other people's head, like if it's a woman, the true value of a woman is being able to fix the crown on another woman's head without anyone even seeing, or something along those lines. And I think that's what the gist of what we're seeing here in Jesus' actions. It's doing those things that no one necessarily has to know about. It's flying under the radar and just going, no, I'm gonna give you reason to be so thankful here. And I'm going to give you reason to know that you're cared for, that your needs are heard, they're observed, you're loved in this, and party's on. We're going to celebrate. It's game on. Let's do this. Let's have fun together. Jesus has it all under control. God will provide, and we don't have to worry. Just get on with the party. Just enjoy it. And I think that's pretty cool. So it's a good challenge for us in two different ways. It's a challenge for us to love like Jesus, but it's also a challenge for us to remember that Jesus has proven time and time again he's got it all under control. There's no point worrying. But also more than that, it is a reminder that Jesus loves bigger than what his initial desires are. He didn't really want that to be a place where his first revelation to people of who he was. He actually was kind of going, hey, what are you turning to me for? Why? His mum's going, yeah, come on. They're really in a really tight situation. He's sort of turning away going, what are you looking at me for? How many of us have done that? We're looking around going, yeah, well, why isn't somebody else doing something about that? When really we're being called to just step up and go, give it a go. Give it a go and show people what obviously what you're equipped to do, what you're designed to do. But give it a go. Be who God has designed you to be. And there's some stuff for us to all process in that. Anyway, guys, we'll tie that up we'll kind of tie things off here, and we'll just come back in a little bit and we'll just throw those last little things for the day around when I speak to you before too long. All right, see you soon. Welcome back, Coasties. That was Door of Your Heart by Vanessa Levine. I am Lindy. I'm so thankful you're joining me this Sunday morning, and thankful that you happen to be tuned in here at Rhema CC. Thank you for your support in doing so, and thank you for your support in getting behind all the different things that are happening here at the moment. For those of you who were around yesterday, it was nice to see you up at Wyong, and yeah, it's a good time to celebrate all things heart. It's been Valentine's Day Friday it was. I've completely forgotten where I'm up to. But yeah, all things lovey-dovey is kind of what we've been talking about this morning. We've been talking about weddings. We've been talking about the fact that Jesus revealed himself at a wedding, not revealed himself as in, exposed himself in an inappropriate way. That's not what I meant. Let's just clear that. Let's clarify that. That's not what I was saying at all. But it was the wedding that he suddenly was left in a position, really, of doing some serious miracles. And we've been talking about that this morning. So we've been talking about what would Jesus do, and from a few different angles, really. We talked about the symbolisms that we can see in the story of how he chose to do things the way that he did, the way that he used it was the fact that he had a wedding feast, and there was the aspect of even the jars that we use. There was some symbolism in that too. There's a few things that we dug on a deeper level, and we can, it's interesting. It really is. But more so, we talked about the fact that Jesus decided in that moment that the needs of those who were before him, the need to protect them from being embarrassed, to being, the aspect of being ashamed because they suddenly went, we have no wine to give to our guests, we've only got water. And it was a real big deal. It was something that was so frowned upon. I can see that it could still be like that. It can still be like that. And it's no different really today. It's we all, from generation to generation, we can all experience that sense of, I'm not going to be able to cut this, I'm not going to make it work, not going to be enough here, it's a sense of failure, I think. I think that sense of failure that so many of us can carry from time to time, it is there, it's present, it's what we see in this story, and yet Jesus goes, I've got you, don't worry about it, I'll provide, I'll protect you, I'll take this, and I'm going to show you just how amazing I actually am, because I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you better than what you had. And just in that, there is some seriously core principles that we should be applying to our faith. And he'll take what we are dealing with. Sorry about that. That came from nowhere. And he'll just say, I know that you're struggling, but you watch me, I'm going to give you better than what you can imagine. And that is what we are designed. That's what I think we're challenged to be. We are challenged to be that for other people, giving them, more than they think they deserve, to be the better person in all situations, to help those who just need someone to just kind of be that buffer for them, to get them from that really awkward situation to that really moment of celebration where it's just like, I'm covered, I'm good, we got reasons to dance, we got reasons to party, it is good, it's a good situation. And Jesus obviously, he gives us the perfect way to be able to explain that, and he's just that role model for us to be able to just know how to do it. Now, I want to just end this morning by saying, I want to sort of just explain to you, I'm going to echo the same words I used before actually. I'll just go back to verse 7. So we've been this morning really looking from John 2, verses 1 to 11. And really, I have kind of broken up a little bit in and out this morning. So I'll go to verse 8, where he says, then he told them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realise where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, everyone brings out the choice wine first, and the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now. What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. So we're living like Jesus. What are we doing? In situations like this where we can see others who are in awkward situations, perhaps they are in a situation where they have nothing. What are we doing in response? Now, if I look and apply this to my own personal life, I can say that there's no greater sense of satisfaction than being able to give those that I work with each week at Hope Cottage, who happen to just sort of roll in and they kind of pull me aside and say, I've got nothing at the moment. Have you got anything that you can help out with? And then when we load up, 3, 4, 5, 6 bags of groceries and say, off you go, I can assure you that that moment in their life is a moment they will remember for a long time. Now, we don't do that because we are wanting the thanks or the satisfaction. We are doing that to tie them between the here and now with the future of their life. And in the middle of that, that's providing them with a need. It's covering them over. It's going, we've got you, we want to support you, we'll give you what you need. But know that we do that because we know that you are loved by a God who is big. He's bold, he's courageous, he's willing to put his needs aside. If we look at Jesus in this particular story, we see exactly that. We see him put his needs aside for the needs of those he loves. And what we do week in, week out is really it is a case of trying to represent that same truth. Have a good look at those in your life this week, guys. There's probably someone struggling. One of the things I love about this radio station is that, there's certainly lots of different elements of things happening in all sorts of directions in a way that we are caring for the community. But it's hope, and I think people are just looking for hope, whether that means in material possessions, whether it means financial assistance, whether it means, food on a plate, clothes on their back. Maybe it's bigger than that. Now, I've been putting together a program to be able to do for me, for my own work, to be able to just put out there for people to do. And one of the things that I put in there was, you guys may be aware of something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And in the course, we actually talk about how, we can be in different levels of needs, but it doesn't change anything because in terms of comparison, there is no comparison. Every one of us are probably striving to get to the next level, if you like that, or whatever you want to call it. Needs can be different. So somebody who is well educated but never had an opportunity to get started in the real, whatever aspect of their career or for whatever reason, they're going to have different needs to those who are needing a plate with food on it. It doesn't matter. That we all have avenues of ways that we might be struggling, and we actually might be the answer to other people who are in a situation of, I don't know, I need some help here. So it's about keeping an eye out, keeping our eyes open. It's about providing that hope and providing where we can. This radio station, for me, I think is phenomenal. I think Christian radio itself is an amazing concept because it offers hope constantly. And that's just one example. You guys would be out there doing your own ministries in different ways. If you're someone who listens regularly on a Sunday morning, it's a good chance that you have faith. It's a good chance that it's a Christian radio station, obviously. So it's a good chance that this is a part of your life. And whatever you're doing, it's so encouraging that you are doing it because you're meeting needs. But I just want to urge you guys, look around you and see what other needs are there. And sometimes it means reading the room. Sometimes it means going deeper, looking at those in your world who you can see through body language, through maybe like a non-verbal communication. There may be things that you can see, something's not right here, and really challenge them. How do I go above and beyond, even if it's uncomfortable for me? Like we see in Jesus' response to this, I don't want to do this right now. Come on, this is not my time. There's a good chance it could be your time. And those people that you are going to touch through that, the way that you're going to touch their lives, to challenge them into knowing that there is hope. It's powerful stuff. Let me leave it with you guys. I will skedaddle out of here and, do good stuff this week. I know for myself, last week we talked about giving each other time and really, really just honestly just calling time out on the do. I know for myself, I was very challenged this week. I had a moment on Wednesday. I had a group of people who I work with every week, but I could tell they just needed just someone to just sit and just chat to them. And I thought, right, Lindy, you're being tested on this. Are you going to keep doing everything you could be doing, which is sweeping floors, mopping floors, preparing for the following day? Or are you going to put that stuff down and actually spend some time with them? So I made the conscious effort to go, no, I spoke on this last week. I need to actually do what I said and get my own little, kick my own butt and go get out there and actually enjoy the people that are around you. So please, if you've got a chance to do that today, make the most of the people in your world in the week to come. But more than that, go above and beyond. So look at who is in your world. What do they need? Love like Jesus and do pretty phenomenal stuff. He has equipped you. He has given you all that you need. Be brave. If you get rejected, does not matter because, hey, you are doing what God has called you to, and that is loving. love big, love whole, love, love, love. Feeling the love. I hope you guys are feeling love too. And yeah, let it flow. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next week. And yeah, looking forward to it. Take it easy and yeah, blessings to each of you. See you guys.